Well, hello, and thank you for joining me for another Alex on Tech and iTWireTV interview. Today I'm joined by Britt. He's the CEO of Beem It. Welcome to the program.
Alex, thanks for having me.
So, can you tell us what is Beem It and how has it evolved since it started in 2018?
Mm. Um, Beem It's Australia's favorite financial application. It's the one application in the financial space that people love, right? So 1.7 million people use Beem It to immediately, instantly pay friends and family, split bills, transfer money instantly. And the magic of it is it's not like a traditional banking app. I would simply say, hey, pay Alex $5 for coffee in exactly those words. I might send you a GIF, I might send you an emoji, I might send you a personal note, and you'll instantly be notified that money's in your bank account. It's completely free to users and it operates between all of the banks. And so Beam was originally founded by a collection of the banks, and they did all the hard plumbing work to get the system working. And it was bought by FPOS, and really to really represent the entire ecosystem, not just the banks, but also the ecosystem of small to medium-sized business and major merchants that exist and the other payment service providers. And so I came into the FPOS group just over 12 months ago, and I joined the business about 6 months ago. But we're very proud of the fact it has a 4.9 App Store rating. It is the only financial services app in the country that people seem to genuinely love.
And of course, being part of FPOS, you can pay with FPOS, and that keeps all sort of the transaction fees in Australia, and it's Australians supporting Australian businesses.
Yeah, look, it's proudly Australian owned, created. The idea came out of Australian entrepreneurs. It's been built locally, and really importantly, from a customer protection and security perspective, the data is owned and controlled locally as well.
Yeah. So Beem had just launched a new Beem Rewards program.
Mm.
So how does this differ from older credit card rewards-based programs for consumers? And importantly, what does it offer to small businesses who want to start offering cashback and rewards for their customer loyalty?
Yeah. Look, traditionally, the credit card loyalty program is for people on expensive credit cards. So it works fine for that part of the program, particularly if it comes with high costs. And that's always been the traditional ecosystem. And increasingly what we're seeing is, particularly coming through COVID, is people have had a really tough time. People have been under financial pressure. Small to medium-sized business in Australia has been under huge financial pressure. And what we've been trying to do at Beem It is, and particularly with FPOS's purpose of do good for Australia, it's been to bring that sort of rewards ecosystem to the rest of the market, to the small to medium-sized businesses who can't necessarily afford to run big loyalty programs, and for users to get the benefit of either cashback or other rewards on every card, whether it's my credit card or my debit card, where I choose to use my own money. And so this is a first big step for us with Beem towards better connecting consumers with small to medium-sized businesses in Australia. But it's probably also worthwhile saying that it's just the beginning. The payments landscape is rapidly changing, and it's going from changing at, let's say, banking speed to starting to change at internet speed. Yeah. And we see that with the very fast growth of some of the Australian fintechs in the space. We see it with the growth of the mobile device. And so I think the community and small to medium-sized business should hopefully see this as the first baby steps towards the mobile device and Beem becoming a much more important part of everyday transactions.
So what are the other benefits you can explain about how companies or small businesses can create bespoke offers, and what is the cost for them to be involved in the program, and how do they sign up to take part, and when does Beem Rewards launch?
Yeah, so Beem Rewards rolls out from this week. Go to beem.com.au and you'll be able to sign up at any point. We're reaching out to merchants all across the country. We have over 600 signed up for launch, and we hope that to be in the thousands over the next couple of months. And the core question really is, small to medium-sized businesses want to know who their customers are. They want to be able to reach new customers. They want to be able to attract new customers, particularly in a world of COVID and under this amount of pressure. And what Beem Rewards provides is an ability for them to give pricing and financial incentives or cashback to users to come and show loyalty or engagement back with them. Now, cashback is the start. In the long run, we think every merchant should have the ability to offer any sort of incentive or reward for great loyalty. I always remember buying coffee, and Bill ran the coffee shop, and he knew me and I knew him, and I could just wave from the line, and then I got the punch in my coffee card, and on my 10th coffee, I got it free. That whole world is going to go to digital. So whether it's at my major hardware store or at my local coffee shop, over the next 5 to 10 years, we're all going to be paying with mobile wallets. And we want to give small to medium-sized businesses the chance to create that intimacy, that connection with customers that used to be possible in the face-to-face environment. And as things go into digital, we want to give them the same digital tools to connect with customers.
So what does it cost a company to be involved, and what sort of insights and analytics and customer information are they able to get from the system so that they can populate their own databases and get that sort of intimate detail that they'd normally get in the old-fashioned ways of face-to-face?
Yeah. So look, the first thing is we're putting merchants in control over how they want to run their own program. So they can set the terms of their own offers. They can make them more or less lucrative. They can change them at different times throughout the year, depending how business is going and the sorts of audiences they want to shift. And most importantly, we're able to identify potentially interesting customers for them, either interstate or customers that are in their area, in their region, if they're a store that's looking for foot traffic. We take a small percentage of whatever offer they put out there to cover the cost of the program. Mm-hmm. But from a consumer point of view, it's just great. It's merchants reaching out to you saying, hey, we value your commerce. We value you caring about where you shop, and we want to give you something back. And so the great news is customers get notified 3 to 5 days after a purchase that they've got money back in their account, and it's acknowledged and credited to the merchant. Now, over time, we're going to increasingly build tools that are much more complex, allowing merchants to connect with customers where customers want to, allowing customers to give and receive feedback and social media within that environment, and then critically give merchants the tools to be providing rewards to their best customers far beyond cash. Yeah. If I go back to the scenario of a barista who knows my name or who would handle me a particular apple pie on Friday afternoon if we were saying hello, that sort of intimacy has largely gone out of our transactions in a world impacted by COVID. It exists to some extent in the online world. The major global tech companies have a personal profile for me, but most small to medium-sized businesses unfortunately have very little data on who's shopping with them, how they can build a better business, etc.
And the Beem It app will have a discovery section, like a map where you can find retailers who are part of the program. What else is in the Beem Rewards upgrades for the app?
Yeah, so firstly, I can indicate interest levels, things I care about. Over the next few months, you'll be able to connect some of your traditional banking details, and we can start to positively recommend offers for you. We can identify opportunities where choosing where you could have shopped could have saved you money, and actually showing loyalty to a particular merchant may save for some people very significant amounts of money. Right, so we've had the program just in trial over the last couple of months in quite a closed user group. We have a set of Beem super fans that have signed up to be a part of anything that we run, and we love those guys because they give the product a run for its money and give lots of feedback. And the average person is making $25 to $30 of cash back a month, and the peak of it was almost $900. Someone being very selective about where they shopped and identifying the merchants that they wanted to follow and directing their commerce that way. And so we're hoping from that point of view that customers are getting more for their money. And as we make them more aware of some of the opportunities to save and show loyalty to the merchants they care about, that we're creating some incentives there that support everybody. Yeah,
well, I've seen some of those coupon clipper shows in the US where people are fanatical about saving money and save money on everything. So, I mean, that has gone digital, and this is now going digital and local in a bigger way than ever before.
It doesn't matter which customer segment you're looking at, which state you're looking at, what sort of geographically where you are. This sense that we're under more financial pressure as a society than ever before is universal. And so the rise of financial anxiety and the desire to get more out of my money. There's the wonderful thing about the rise of choice in all financial ecosystem is I've got lots of different options now. I can choose buy now, pay later from many different providers. I can choose from new banks versus old banks. The reality for many people is actually managing my money is harder than it's ever been before. It's more complex. And, we've moved from, a generation ago being able to speak to a banker across the till to everything being now entirely digital, which is wonderful to have that information at my fingertips, but also means people don't always necessarily feel in control. And so particularly through the COVID period, which I think has placed so much pressure on everyday people, we feel good about the timing of this. I wish we'd been able to launch it 6 months ago, but we do feel good about our ability to provide these tools to people now.
Well, now that we seem to be coming out of sort of these self-imposed Omicron lockdowns, I mean, just starting to come out of that, and with ongoing supply chain and logistics issues and the threat of inflation, I mean, looking after your money and, as you said, getting the most out of it, I mean, this is the ideal time. So I wish you great success with that, and clearly it's going to be very busy for you over the next few months as people get on board with Beem It.
We did see a beautiful trend, though. It's just worthwhile sharing a
Yeah.
little anecdotal story, which is, we've seen significant downward pressure on total transaction volume in the economy. We've seen significant pressure on retailers' total revenues, and that's been a universal experience. And FBOS's visibility into that's been consistent with the overall market. But what we've also seen is a huge growth in people just sending $1 to each other on Beem, with a little emoji saying, "I'm thinking about you," or a rose, or a heart, a little cup of coffee. And some of those, where some of those physical interactions and connection haven't been possible, just people finding other digital ways to connect and support. And we're a pleasure of being in a job where you get some of those little insights into little bits of communities and what they're doing to support each other.
It's almost like a digital version of paying it forward.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
So look, as we get towards the end of the interview, I always like to ask about the future. How do you see Beem It evolving over the next couple of years? And then how do you see things in the 2030s when the metaverse should be everywhere and people wandering around with augmented reality glasses, and you think about a payment and it's made, and maybe you think, hang on, I didn't mean to pay that yet.
Oh, that bit scares me. But no, so look, remember when I worked at Microsoft, and Bill Gates very famously said we tend to
overestimate
in the short term,
and
then massively underestimate in the long run. And I think about the internet boom, I think about the mobile boom, and all of that is completely true. So the shift we're seeing at the moment is payments are moving out of a traditional infrastructure. They're shifting out of the traditional payment and banking environment. They're shifting into the cloud. Now, from a technical perspective, that's not particularly interesting. From a customer perspective, they don't care. They just want to be able to buy their coffee and get on with their lives. But what's interesting is it allows innovation from the ecosystem at the pace of the software industry. It allows the pace of change to be, just for an example, an agile development model, as opposed to a traditional banking model, payments model, where it had to be perfect and then deployed and as little change as possible. And so I think the exciting bit is that our core financial lives, how we pay for things, is, as I said at the beginning, going to start to move at internet speed. And it's going to be as much about the experience around the payment as it is about actually making our payment ourselves. And so if I just give an example of my probably favorite example, the thing that my teenage kids are most excited about is the ability, for example, to understand the carbon footprint of every transaction and either offset it themselves by rounding up their coffee purchases, or encouraging a merchant to offset it for them and potentially share them on social media. So, it's an area for them. Their climate awareness and climate change is an area they're hugely passionate about. They see the way they pay as a key lever into that, and something that's never been possible, right? It's never been possible to connect the financial services industry to insights on how our climate and economy is changing. But I think you're going to see those sort of services in this calendar year. I really do. Yeah. And I think as more and more payments move into the mobile environment, our ability to create very personal, valuable experience, whether it's that you get insurance on the latest mobile phone that you bought, or whether it's my ability to round up my coffee and give it to the Australian Fire Services because I care about that, or it's my ability to offset carbon, or my ability to round up my coffee purchase and turn it into Apple shares at 20 cents at a time, right? All of that power is now getting out of the hands of big companies and being put in the hands of the customers. And I think that's a wonderful time. We're going to see a generational shift where people are more in control of the money than they ever have been before.
Yeah, in the 21st century, it's all about experience, and there isn't anything that can't be positively disrupted.
Absolutely agree.
Now, you mentioned Microsoft before. You've also worked at Channel 9 and iFlix. What is a little bit about your history in the world of tech that has led you on the journey to Beem It and FBOS?
Great question. I started my life as a lawyer, where I was told that I was taught that you had to have the answers and you had to know what you were talking about and you had to have credibility. And I very quickly learned when I was in the tech industry that the more you pretend you know what you're talking about, the worse it goes. And the immense fear we have in any group of people, the immense fear you have that you're going to be found out, you're going to be not good enough, you're going to get caught out for not knowing what you're talking about. And so the journey for me has been one of getting really comfortable admitting I have no idea where the world is going. But I have a fascination with it. I have a deep curiosity with it, and really love working with organizations and people and teams on working through that collective future is. And so that's been the common theme. I used to run Microsoft's consumer business in Asia Pac, and then media in Australia with 9MSN and then Channel 9. and then pursued my own venture in internet TV across 17 countries in Southeast Asia, bringing think about internet television to people who don't have bank accounts and their only TVs, their mobile device. And so we did that for the last 6 years. And so Beem It is the next frontier for me. I think the payments is going to change at the same pace our television has changed. It's going to change at the same pace our gaming experience changed 10 years ago. And so it's an area for innovation and change, which is, as long as you're willing to admit you have no idea where the future is going and you don't have any good answers, then it's a lot of fun.
Yogi Berra famously said that the predictions are very hard to make, especially when they're about the future. He had lots of funny comments like that.
Yeah, you give up trying to predict the future pretty quickly after the first couple of times of getting it wrong.
So my second last question to you is, what are the best pieces of advice you've ever received in life to help you get where you are today?
Best piece of advice was a wonderful mentor and CEO who now runs Xero, a guy called Steve Vamos. And he said, do you want to be the smart guy in the corner of the room, or do you want to be the dumb guy in the middle who's bring everyone together? And that having the courage of not having answers, that having the courage of not pretending you know what you're doing, and getting comfortable just being yourself, and being yourself when you get it completely and utterly wrong sometimes too. The ability to separate the individual you are at home with your kids every day and the person you are when you come to work every day, and trying to make that one person has removed a lot of the stress and anxiety, certainly in my life, that I think impacts a lot of us. And I owe a lot to Steve Vamos, because he's once you grasp that in your life, everything gets much easier.
So, Mark, what is your final message to iTWireTV viewers and readers, and to your current and future customers and partners?
We're entering a world where the financial services disruption is going to happen very quickly. And our fear is that it's dominated by international tech, that it's dominated by global tech companies, and that your data, the data of merchants on transactions, the data of individuals about what they buy, goes to power large-scale global trillion-dollar technology companies, whether it's their ad business or whether it's their devices business. And there is a set of innovators in Australia, people passionately care about the long-term sovereignty of Australia and the payments industry. And we're going to be bringing products to market, and we hope you love them. We hope they help your business, and we'll be here listening to feedback on how we improve them, and look forward to working together.
Well, I'm sure Beem It and Beem Rewards will be very rewarding for Australians who want to take it up, which I hope is everybody. And I hope we can talk again in the future. Thank you very much for your time.
Excellent. Alex, thank you.
Thank you.